Big Footy Tigercast listeners around the country and worldwide. I come to you tonight because I think it's only right that I issue an apology for some words that I spoke. I think it was about 2 weeks ago on a show that we did on a Monday night. I did mention the I word, which I shall not say in this apology. It was met with much dismay from my fellow panel members as well as the audience. I pushed on regardless. I should have thought it through. And today I would like to apologise. I've let down my fellow panel members. I've let down the listening audience of the Big Footy Tigercast. And I apologise for any injuries that have been sustained since the use of the I word, which will now be no longer mentioned on the Big Footy Tigercast. We're just putting out an official apology on behalf of myself and the show. So thank you for everybody listening in. We shall now proceed with the show as regular. Gentlemen, welcome. How are we?
Yeah, we're very good. You said you wouldn't mention the I word, and then halfway through, you said the I word.
Did I?
Right. Yes, you did.
Oh, shit.
Apart from letting down yourself, your panel members, and the Big Footy Tigercast community, you've also let down the Richmond Football Club.
Yes.
which is what this podcast is all about. So,
I know.
Yeah. Very good.
Geez.
Very good. Very well spoken.
If you don't think I'm copping it from all angles, and deservedly so, I've got Grok sending me messages. I've got people on Twitter. It's all happening. But it's not fair play. And look, you could all tell at the time when I was saying it that I knew I shouldn't have been doing it because I almost backed out of it. But I pushed through just in hope. I've got a huge wooden desk. I thought surely if I knocked it a couple of times, I'll be safe. But no, I apologise, everybody. That's lesson learned. We don't need any more of that stuff going on. Jeez. How are you, EJ? Nice banner there. I like that.
Yeah, thank you. Just something simple before we carry on. I'm good. Nothing much is happening in my world. How are you, CB?
Fantastic. I had a haircut.
Very nice.
Tweaked the mustache a little bit. Can't think of anything. Just let's go footy.
This is like, I don't know if anyone is across this, but this is like the Ryan Reynolds cross at that award show. And they're asking, how's it been? He's like, good. Why, do you know something? And yeah, they made a bit of a skit out of it on Saturday Night Live. But anyway, welcome everybody to a Monday night show. We've obviously got the game coming up this week against the Pies, which is really exciting. I think first and foremost, I want to talk about what you guys have thought about some of the reactions of our practice game against West Coast. I've been a little bit blown away by some of the negativity that's come across from it. I'll be shocked if we play like that second quarter against the Pies this week. I just want to reiterate again, it is February, folks. So we look forward to this week. But yeah, what did you guys make of all the responses coming through for the West Coast game?
CB, you can lead off. You probably want to talk about something else, so dig in.
Look, I think the verdict is out until I see how we play against Collingwood, to be honest. And again, I think it was very much ado about nothing. The stats were there on how young the team was. We knew what we were sending over there. I don't understand the vitriol or the craziness. So let's see what gets. Let's see what we stump up on Wednesday, and then we'll have a bit more of an informed opinion, shall we say?
Yeah, and I reckon so. Yeah, and I think if you look, okay, we all know that Richmond and West Coast last year weren't much chop. That's a given. It's probably going to be the same this year. That's fine. But if you look at the results of some of the other practice games with more experienced teams, maybe we should just calm the farm a bit, because there were some teams out there with a good bunch of senior players that got walloped a lot worse than what we did. So, just a bit of perspective for the early part of the season.
I'm with you, EJ, and that was my takeaway as well from the rest of the games. Is there was teams out there that were far stronger than us and West Coast, to be fair, that got beaten by as much, if not more. And the takeaway is that the games mean nothing at this time of year because they're all trying stuff, and I don't think anything's really learned from them. But yeah, it was just interesting to see. And I can look, part of me does sympathise and understand about some people's reactions because we saw a pretty average game style in 2024. But I think you've got to be able to separate the 2024 to what's being trialed to what we may see in a couple of weeks. So I think if we play the same way on Wednesday night, I think we're probably fair play a little bit more for some criticism on that front. But up until that happens, I suppose we just hold fire. So Dean's come through with a message here quickly, lads, that he was talking to the club today and told that Smiley will play on Wednesday. Oh, yeah, there we go.
That's fantastic. Now, if there's any of our people who watch us, if you're actually going to Wednesday's game, we'd love to hear about your excitement and what you want to see. Put it in the chat, what you're hoping to see if you're attending. And also give generously to the charities that are on display there. And secondly, Ege, I think you're sort of putting forward that message. People obviously won't know that obviously us three message each other at various stages during the week or if we see things in the footy world. And I think I shot the message to you two boys about who would you rather have been our loss against West Coast or what was the game that I brought up going, where you had two teams that were basically nearly full strength or what have you, and one team was getting smacked. Adelaide. Yeah. The Adelaide game. Who would you rather be? Put your best team, one of your best teams on the park and getting smashed by 8 goals or ours with an under-21 team? What would you rather?
That's it. And it's just, a big trial and error game against the Eagles. And as will the Collingwood game be a little bit. I fully anticipate us to go in with a bit more of a stronger side against the Pies, which we'll get to later. We'll try and piece it together. But today, gents, obviously the news come out. I'm going to try my hardest not to say the word, that Prestia obviously has gone down with an eye, a bit of an Achilles.
A hard eye? Or a soft eye?
So it's what are they calling it? A flare-up of the Achilles. So it's not a tear or a new injury, I guess. I suppose. I don't know whether it's from overuse, but we know he's been pushing himself quite a bit this pre-season, which has been great. And it just sounds like the Achilles has flared up. So he will unfortunately miss the Collingwood game as well as I'm going to say the first maybe 2 or 3 games of 2025, which is really disappointing. Obviously we are in massive need of leaders on the field with such a young side, and he's a big part of that. But you know what? Ultimately, it's not going to fully shape our season. I don't think too much. And all it does, the silver lining is, EJ, it's going to give someone like your man, Kane McAuliffe, potentially a better shot at it, and maybe even a Jack Ross as well.
Yeah, look, It will, and I hope that hopefully McAuliffe's over his concussion, and I really want to see more from Ross on Wednesday night than what we saw last week, because he was one of my disappointments last week. But I'm not going to name until I get a message saying it's okay. I'm not going to name the person that sent me the message, but they said to me a while back that Prestia was in trouble. So I think this has been kept on the down low, and there's a bit more to it than he's suddenly flared up. The information that was passed to me a while back was that it flared up a fair while ago. So
okay.
If so, that's disappointing just from a communication point of view.
But the reality is on Prestia, a lot of us had him down as a sub anyway. Like, for us to go forward, he can't be one of our main on-ballers. So, to me, it's a blow, but I'm going, geez, if only we had have recruited midfielders over the last 2 years. Oh, that's right, we have. And you've got Jack Ross to come through, which will probably take his spot in the middle. So, to be honest, it's not I don't think it's Dion Prestia being out injured is the loss that some people may think it is. I think we've got to move past him anyway.
Yeah, I think the thing, though, with the senior guys like Prestia is that you get that level of consistency because they've been around the traps. And so the young kids, you'll get good performances, but you will get the dips. And so even if he only plays 60% game time, he gives you that level to work off. And that's what will be missed, which is disappointing. But look, if they spend 2 or 3 weeks getting him right and he comes back for round 3, round 4 and plays 15 out of the following 20 games for the rest of the season, well, that's probably what we're expecting to get out of him for the year anyway.
Just on the carry, if he's going to carry on like that, he may have a very limited tenure posting in our comment section.
First and last warning.
Well, I think just take it.
Just boot. Just boot now.
I'll delete the comment. On the Jack Ross, I've seen a few Jack Ross comments. Now, I know, EJ, that we spoke last week on the show and mentioned that he probably didn't shoot lights out like we were hoping in the West Coast game. I feel like I think he will play a lot better having that more senior side around him. I don't know. I'm not sure if he was maybe ready to take that step to be the main man in the midfield. It's a pretty hard thing to do, even in a practice game. I reckon he might perform better playing in a more natural role, having those other, Tarantos and Hoppers and players like that around him.
Yep.
And I've been clipped.
It's a pretty good clip too.
This one?
I know. I can't even fight it. I can't fight it.
As each day passes.
New season.
But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what we do in the replacement for Prestia. For all that we read, it seems like that McAuliffe is through the concussion protocol. And I know he had, was it the sore pec he had? Something else was holding him back a little bit earlier. But hopefully he's over that. I'd love to see him play on Wednesday, but there's a small part of me that thinks if he's just a little bit off, they might hold him back in the hope that maybe he does play round one. We'll have to wait and see. But look, Prestia's still going to have value around the club, though.
I heard McAuliffe was struggling because of the weight of expectation on his shoulders from EJ. That's what I heard.
Yeah, there might be a bit in that.
And to Peter's point here, Prestia, you're right, will be an on-field coach this year, very important role. And we've said a few times that a lot of these senior guys, their roles at the club have now changed. They're now becoming teachers to pass on information. So obviously he can't do that if he's not playing, but maybe he spends some time in the coach's box or on the bench helping with instruction and things like that. So that'll be something to keep an eye out for as well. All right, well, we may as well get straight into it. We are going to try and piece together the best 23 or best 22 for the Collingwood game because it's not out yet. Obviously, it comes out tomorrow, which has thrown me a little bit. I thought it might have been out today. I've just got Doozy here so I can copy and paste text. It's just easier that way. Anyway, backline. So are we all assuming, gentlemen, that we're going to be taking in a more experienced lineup to this game? Or is there still going to be a lot of inexperience or balance? Or what way do you see it heading?
I think it's going to be pretty close to the round one side.
I think so too.
There'll be a lot of senior players that are slotted straight back in. Oh, come on. We're not going to do this, are we?
What?
Is it doozy?
No. I had it down there so I can copy and paste the text so it sits on top.
Oh, okay, so, all right. Well, thank you, because that would have... Yeah, no, so I think we're going to go pretty senior.
I think so too.
I've picked a side and I'm not happy with it because there's someone in the forward line that on the strength of last week I don't want to be there, but at the moment I can't think of anyone else. So.
All right, well, if we work our way through the back line first, for the back pocket role, who's everyone thinking? Given that we're going to be putting out a more experienced side, the first thing that comes to my mind is someone out of a Broad, Vlosten type player.
Broad.
CB, you on board for Broad?
Well, he's either one of the pockets, so yeah.
Yeah. All right, so we've got Broad. Who are we going to be playing in at full back?
Miller.
So keeping in mind, last week we obviously had Kazitsky and Blight, and Miller played as well. Is playing them three too tall? Do you think we're only going to go in with two of them?
I don't have... It all depends on fitness, but I don't have Cozzy in the on-field side at the moment.
Okay. All right, so we've got Miller at fullback. Other back pocket, are we locking Vlosten in? We're comfortable with that.
Shorty.
Would he be higher up?
Maybe.
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, it all kind of interchanges in some way, doesn't it?
You know what? Yeah. You know what? Put Trainer in there.
That's who I had. I had Trainer in the back.
On a half-back line, Trainer?
No.
Oh, no, it doesn't matter. The back six is the back six.
We'll call it a back six. All right, so we're saying Trainer?
Yeah.
Centre half-back, who are you boys locking in? So you're going Blight, are you?
I'm going Blight.
CB?
Oh, Blight, it's not going to matter because you're going to have either Blight or Cozzy on the bench if it's one or the other. So, yeah.
Interchanging one way or another. And the other halfback, I'm assuming Jaden Short?
Yeah. Yep.
For the element of experience. And yeah, as you said, it's a back six, so it's not really position bound as such. On the wings now, obviously, I've struck down Hugo Ralphsmith, which was very unfortunate. But who would you have on the wings? So some of the names that have been thrown around previously, we had Banks. Obviously, Camden McIntosh is a candidate as well. Tom Brown might be one too. I'm not sure. He didn't play against the Eagles, so I'm not sure where he's at. But who did you have on for the wings?
I had Banks on one wing.
CB, would you feel like comfortable with Banks?
Very comfortable with Banks.
Yeah, I'm on board. I'm on board for Banks on a wing. And on the other wing is going to be interesting, especially with the Prestia out, as it might change a couple of things. But who did you have for the other wing?
Who do you want to try?
No, I don't want to try. I don't want to try anyone. This is a round one. We've got injuries, so he was not in my best 23 3 or 4 weeks ago. He was a squad player. But if you've got the injuries to the Ralphsmith and whatever, I've got K-Mac there.
Oh, okay. So some other candidates I reckon could be Sonzi, who played there on the weekend.
Yeah.
Seth Campbell could be another one as well that might play a bit higher up potentially.
Sonzi.
I've got Seth on a half forward line. I'm happy to go with the majority and say Sonzi. I didn't see enough from him. I thought that K-Mac was better than Sonzi last week, and by a distance, like by a bit. And I really, really hope that, unlike my previous whipping boy, that Sonzi can actually take the step, because he's a highly skilled footballer.
The only thing I'll say is that K-Mac played more of an inside mid role last week. So maybe he did play better than Sonzi, but it was a different position as well.
Oh, he played both. He went inside and out to the wing.
Kind of floating
around. He moved out a bit after Hugo got hurt. So
yeah, fair call.
Yeah, it's almost like a default.
Yeah,
like I want Sonzi to succeed. That 9-game stretch he played a couple of years ago when we played the final against Brisbane, he looked really good.
Yeah,
like he's got the talent. So
first midfield position.
Ooh.
I mean, I'm assuming it's going to be out of Ross, Taranto, Hopper. I mean,
put Dennis in there.
It ultimately doesn't matter.
Dennis.
It doesn't matter which way we do that, I don't reckon. Half forward line. This will be interesting. I feel like Mantle's going to be on one half forward line almost locked in.
I hear in a pocket, but yeah.
Okay, we'll treat the front six similar to the back six in that sense.
Yeah.
Mansell, centre half forward. I'm kind of hoping for Harry Armstrong just quietly.
Bauer.
Yeah, well, see, this is the one that I didn't want to put in that I put in was Bauer.
Okay, so we'll go with the majority.
He was really disappointing last week. He just jumped at stuff and gave, and it was, how do you say it? Had no consequence on the game.
Yeah.
Had no. Yeah, Campbell Gray was more impactful.
He could have been.
Sorry,
he could have been Jesus Christ in our forward line when we're 50, we're 70 meters out and we stop, prop, look, wait. West Coast push everything.
Yes, okay, and then Campbell Gray let up and hit leads and took marks. Bauer was too busy trying to stand on people's heads with those silly bloody leaps
because it was flooded.
Okay, so Campbell Gray, but Campbell Gray went up and clunked.
4 goals in the game. The ball hardly went in there for 2/3 of the game.
Yeah, okay, so why was Campbell Gray more effective in the air than what Bauer was? Because
what about the other 6 blokes then who played forward?
No, but it's how you adapt to a game. When your team is not presenting for you, how do you then give yourself the best chance of getting the pill? I don't think Bauer gave himself the best chance. I think Gray gave himself a better chance by the style of game that he played.
Let's
And I
just
think
see.
that's a fair and reasonable summation that you haven't given a retort to, so I must be right.
No, just the game style was dog shit. Let's just say they do this. Let's see how they move the ball this on Wednesday. That's my summarization. We moved the ball like dog shit, but there must have been a reason for it. I'm hoping.
It was bad.
Simon Smith Bauer has played 8 games. How can you be so critical? I can be critical because of what I saw. Campbell Gray's played no games, and he looked better. And I was positive about Campbell Gray. So how can I be so positive about a bloke that's never played a game? That's the opposite side of the coin.
I know why. I know why he's critical. Because he doesn't have Cumberland to bag anymore. This is the new Cumberland for him. Okay, mate. All right.
Very good. Very good. Jesus. Very good. But
all right. See,
no, I never wanted Cumberland to fail, but I just thought it was very, very evident why he didn't get picked. We all talked about switching off in games and second efforts. It stood out, right? Like sometimes traits really stand out for you. And it's not like you don't want people to fail. You just don't want them to fail because if people succeed, there's a bigger chance of Richmond succeeding. So no one wants anyone to fail. But unlike AFL media, who will constantly cheerlead anything that the AFL does, if I see something that I think deserves a criticism, I'm not going to not say it because they play for Richmond. But if you want me to be critical about players from other clubs, let me know because I'll tee off on people every week.
Tony, I believe that Armstrong is fine now. I think he'll play in this game. I'm just not sure if he'll be starting 22. So I think someone mentioned before, it might have been James Racing, there could be an 8 to 10 man bench, something like that for these games. So there's going to be a whole raft of players that will have a go. And the game's on Wednesday night, by the way, guys. Wednesday nights, I'm thinking it's 7:10 or 7:30, one of the two. But yeah, should be on Fox Footy and KO as well because it's the proper preseason games. Other half forward.
You want to say something positive about Bauer?
Yes.
Now, I don't know how to pronounce the surname, whether it's Peter Dewar or Peter Dewar, but he's 100% right. Bauer will look a lot better if he's playing alongside Lynch, no doubt. No doubt at all.
That's fair call. Fair call. Other half forward?
I had
Seth Campbell.
Yeah.
So you're happy with Seth?
Oh, it's all about EJ. Let's just put Seth in there.
I asked you, CB. I just type
it. He's on the wing, you flog.
It's a front six. Would you have Seth in your front six, CB? Which I think he'll rotate to the midfield, to be honest.
100%. He's a lock.
Yeah.
Oh, it's all about CB.
Forward pocket. I'm throwing up Rioli Jr. as a candidate here.
Meow.
Get the 2 thumbs up here.
Got a thumbs up for Rioli Jr. CB.
100%. And that chocolate bar's looking so nice and tasty.
Oh,
that chocolate
I forgot about this.
I can't wait to get that chocolate. It's gonna, and it better not be none of that like bullshit where you get like the pineapple and all that mixed bag shit, mate. I get to pick the chocolate.
Yeah, that's going to be really interesting. Full forward now. Am I right in saying that Tom Lynch is available for this?
Yes.
I'm hungry.
It's lunchtime late.
I think it's lunchtime.
Spell Lynch. Where am I going? All right, so Tom Lynch will pop into the forward line. And other forward pocket, this is going to be a really interesting spot. Obviously, there's Green, there's Jasper Alger's played a role down there as well in sort of the match sim in the early games. Who are we thinking for the other forward line role?
I went big.
You went big? Who did you go?
Oh, no, don't. It's not about me. Let's ask CB.
Oh, you go first, CB. Who would you go?
No, I think we'll go small. I'm going to, as much as I want to put Alger in there, I'm going to say Steely.
And who'd you go, EJ?
Actually, hang on. Is Brown available?
Well, he didn't play the West Coast one, but I haven't heard why. So if anyone can enlighten us as to the why, that might be handy, I suppose. But if he's fit and available, he's playing. He's starting on the field as well.
I'm going to put Green in only because I'm not sure on Brown.
What
and
about
who are you
red?
going?
What about red or
Who?
black?
Red or
Well,
black?
you said you had green. Because you're not sure about brown. I said, what about red or black?
Okay.
Jeez.
I'm here all week. Try the veal.
Who did you have?
I actually had Armstrong.
Boom.
Had Armstrong. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Let's have a quick poll in chat.
Campbell's are small. Rioli's are small. Mansell's is a small medium. Bauer's a hybrid. So Armstrong would almost be a second Paul. And that would allow Bauer to be that true what's his name, the guy from Melbourne? Bailey. Bauer, if he comes on and he makes it, has that Bailey Fritsch-like capability of great mobility, good in the air. Like, he's got a lot of upside.
Yeah, it's a good comparison too.
Why don't you put Armstrong in the pocket then? I don't care.
Well, we'll do a quick poll in chat. If we're picking this last spot out of Steely Green and Harry Armstrong, who are we going? Just out of those two names. I want to see Armstrong or Greens in the chat. We'll get a bit of a vibe. We'll go with what seems like a majority, and we'll pop them in there. Who else? Kay McAuliffe, well, it's not over just yet. I think he will get a spot somewhere, but possibly on the bench. Oh, a lot of love for Armstrong.
Armstrong in.
All right, we'll go Armstrong. Okay, Ruck, I assume we're going to all be saying
Nank.
Well, I shouldn't assume, but Nankervis.
Yep.
Nankervis.
Can I put one on the interchange bench for now? And do a hear me out?
Yeah, go on. We'll just overwrite this one.
He makes a thing before saying it was all about me. Can I jump forward to the interchange bench and break the cycle because it's all about me? Go ahead, CB. What would you like to do, mate?
Cozzy will be on the interchange bench because we will have possibly, I reckon, Miller will be the backup ruck. I reckon they'll play. I'm thinking Cozzy showed a bit. They won't play Samson Ryan. I reckon they'll go the other way. They may go the other way and have an extra defender.
Look, I think you might be right if they didn't have an extended bench. I think Samson will play if there's like the 8 to 10 man bench and we'll get some game time. But yeah, if we were picking just this, I reckon you could be right there.
Yeah.
All right, we'll leave him on there. Midfielder, I'm guessing this is going to be self-explanatory here. Taranto would be one, and then are we all saying Jack Ross for the other starting midfield spot?
No.
I'm saying Jack Ross, yeah.
Oh, EJ's no. Who are you saying?
Smiley.
Oh, shit.
Nah.
Okay.
Jack Ross will start. They'll start with Ross.
Starting. What's okay. I'm not against it.
Voted, so that's fine. It's not about me. So just put Ross down. Hey, you got to remember, Michaels. I didn't start this. CB did. I can go all night.
I've heard to the contrary, but anyway.
All right. Well. This could be the last show, folks. We could be cooked here before round one.
The pay's shit house. The company's lousy. Why do I do this to myself every Monday?
If you hear about a middle-aged Terrell man gone missing, you'll know
why. So we've got Smiley as the first interchange spot on the back of that. I would assume that maybe someone like a Steely Green. Oh, that didn't format very well. Steely Green would we have on the bench as well?
McAuliffe.
I'll go McAuliffe first because I really like him and I really want to see him play.
And he was the first name on my bench. If you could humour me and swap McAuliffe and Smiley. I'm joking.
I think I've spelled that wrong. Anyway. Who else? Now we've got a big midfielder, an in and under midfielder, a defender, well, a key position defender. Do you go does a Trezise get a game, a Steely Green? Who else would you be thinking? An Elgar for the interchange? What kind of names?
Smith for me.
Caleb Smith, I think that's good. I was actually really impressed with him as well on the weekend. I know he had a couple of turnovers, but shit, so did everyone else.
But I thought his attack on the opposition and the ball was superior to most of the other small, medium defenders.
Yeah, I agree.
And I think he clearly outpointed Tresize on the day. Not saying that Tresize isn't a better player, but I love that real hunger and that desperation. And I think you've got to reward that.
Now, the reason why Tom Brown's not on this list for those who have just tuned in is we aren't totally sure if he's going to be available because he didn't play in the West Coast game and there hasn't really been a hell of a lot said about him up until this moment. If Tom Brown's fit to play, he will be starting on the ground. Make no mistake about it. But we just don't know what his status is. So we just haven't included him just to be safe. But, yeah, if he's fit, he's in.
Adam Gibcus is not fit. And RFC, Tresize may be better than Smith, but he hasn't been in the preseason.
Christian, we had someone in the chat before mentioned they'd spoken to someone at the club today. Maybe they were at training or something, and they reckon that Smiley's good to go. So that's what we've based it off. So then who else would you put in for this last spot? Would you be going an Alga? Would you go Sims? Would you give the big man? And like I said, granted, there might be 10 interchange spots. We still might see Fawcett. We still might see Ryan and Campbell Gray and all those guys as well. But if you're picking a 23 or whatever, who would you go for the last spot?
Well, I don't know where RFC gets his information from, but he's been very consistent in the chat tonight saying that Smiley and Trainer are locked in, which is interesting and exciting.
Very exciting if true, absolutely.
Yeah.
Last spot, who are we thinking? Steely Green?
I'm going to say Alga.
Alga. I really like Alga. I'm sort of fully on board the Alga bandwagon, to be honest.
Is that how we say it?
I don't know. Is it?
I genuinely don't know.
I've just assumed.
Yeah.
But I've also been saying
pronounced Lorna, not Lona.
Mate, if I hadn't known you were on tonight, I would have got that other slide ready. We'll save it for next week.
Yeah, disappointing.
Yeah.
All right. So
you didn't communicate with me.
So that's our crack at a 22 or 23 against Collingwood for Wednesday night. Now, just to talk through some of this, a few people have asked who the backup ruck is. Backup ruck would probably be Miller in this instance. And like I said, there's probably going to be a 10-man interchange. So players like Fawcett, Samson, Ryan, Hayes, Brown still might be there. So it's probably going to be a longer list than what we see here, and that's going to solve the backup ruck problem. But if we were to just be playing just this side, I would say, gents, that Ben Miller would be the backup ruck in this instance.
Okay, Dean Singer's just put out a comment there. The Cats and the Dons have listed 8 on the bench for tomorrow.
Okay, so that's probably the standard then. So we will see more than this.
Yeah, which is
and Adam, I don't buy into the concussion stuff anymore. I think that was blown up a lot more than what it was. He's been training really, really well and had to be held back, not because of his head, but just because they've got to manage workload. So I think he's good to go. He's been getting very high praises from, I think it was Nathan Broad was one, Serple was another one. So I think he might be good to go. When I say good to go for this type of game, I'm not sure how that will translate to AFL, but yes. So yeah, 30-man squad with 8 on the bench. So yeah, we're going to say we'll see if there's another 5 players on the bench, players like you would think Fawcett, Ryan, Gray, maybe even Sims gets another go. I thought he was quite impressive. What did you guys think of Sims for the West Coast game? I know he's still obviously very raw, but he didn't look too out of place.
He had the hardness that I wish that Ryan had. He was physical. He crashed packs, and he was good when the ball went to ground as well. He didn't lose competitiveness once the mark wasn't taken. So I really liked him.
Well, this is a good call, but from Dow, he'll definitely feature in that longer extended interchange.
If we're putting 3 more names on there, Dow would definitely be one.
Yeah. And I know he's got his knockers, but I thought he was our best midfielder against West Coast. Not that was probably overly hard to do. But I thought he did as much as he could have done, I guess. So I think he will definitely get a run in this type of game as well. And I agree with Peter as well. Campbell Gray I thought looked really good. I know EJ touched on it earlier. Took some good strong marks at the start. Played in defence as well. Won't be shocked to see him playing too, which will be. RFC, he'll play. You can't deny the man was one of the best mids for us on the weekend against West Coast. He'll play. And Hayes Brown will be another one I want to see too. What about the headband? What do we think about the headband? We need to get some headbands, I think. The K-Mac headband.
The Carmelo Anthony headbands.
I could use one.
The Carmelo Anthony headbands. How are you, Enough Bench? Welcome, mates. Make sure we get around his YouTube channel as well, everybody.
Actually, that's a really good point. I think McIntosh will 100% play. So once we left him off the wing, he didn't even make the bloody bench.
We've left him off completely. We've completely blanked him.
You're just a bunch of haters. You're a bunch of haters.
Still three spots. Just bloody go on there. Just relax, mate. Just relax.
I'm just finding it very amusing. I'm away from home. I'm liberated tonight.
We did leave him out. What do we rate this side out of 10, chat? Be honest. I know there's going to be a lot of differing of opinions and things like that. But yeah, be keen to hear what everyone's thoughts are. Keeping in mind there's going to be a longer list of interchange. But I suppose we're going to try and get as close to what we're going to roll out with round one as possible. So this could be as close to as good as we get. Should be very interesting. But speaking of the Collingwood game, I know it's only a practice game, but what are we hoping to get out of this? What do you want to see from the Collingwood practice game that you didn't see in the West Coast practice game? What's the evolution or the progression from there?
Better ball movement.
Yep.
Is it as simple as that? Chat, are we feeling the same? Ball movement? I think that's a pretty good starting point, CB. I mean, the first and the third periods of the West Coast game, we looked okay. We didn't look great, but we actually moved the ball with a bit more purpose with some overlap handballs. You want to start seeing that on a more regular basis. And I suppose what frustrated supporters is all the training videos we've seen. It's all this waves of running and overlap handball and all this kind of sexy looking stuff. And we saw nothing of it in any great capacity against West Coast. And maybe that's by design. Maybe it's an element of inexperience, a combination of both those things. But I hope we do see a lot more overlap run and fast ball movement, as Aaron has quite clearly put there. I agree. And no I word. Thank you, Sam. Thank you. Stephen, no Brown, only because we don't know what his status is. He didn't play the West Coast game, and we just don't know if he's readily available to play yet. If he's fit and firing, he will be starting on the field 110%. But we just don't know. We don't know where it's all at.
So are we back to a standard 4 quarters to this? I imagine
yes.
So. Yeah.
The only thing I don't know is, do they do the simulation things at the end as well, or is that only during the practice, the unofficial ones? You know how they do 3 minutes on the clock, one team's up by 12 points. Do they do that for these ones? I kind of think no. I think these are more official.
Yeah, I don't know.
I think more official. Yeah, anyway, that is our team. There we go. Well, it was a fun little exercise. Okay, well, the next one will be the new segment. I've got to bring up my other screen. Bear with me quickly. Did you want to talk about it first, EJ, for this week's nominations before I bring up the slide?
Oh, yeah, probably.
All right, introduce your segment. Here we go. What are we going with? We're going with Come On, Man.
Come on, man. There's a few this week, but first of all, Michaels.
Shut up, CB. Don't laugh at me.
Imagine actually talking about injuries on a podcast in pre-season and expecting there to be no injuries. Come on, man. I mean, you've copped a few bricks today, and I reckon you deserve every one of them.
Yeah, I do.
Mark Stevens, former AFL journalist. I've lost the bloody tweet, but when Jagger Smith has gone down with the knee injury, Mark Stevens has gone, absolutely shattered. For one of Tigerland's finest, Jagger Smith has done his knee. and everyone's jumped on him. So 10 minutes later, he's had to put out a tweet, and he's saying, it's for the wider community. He was linked to Richmond all the way through. He grew up in Richmond. He's a Richmond person. Come on, man. He's a Carlton-listed player. You're just stuffed up. It would be much better if you just owned it. Everyone ripped into you, and rightfully so. Come on. What? Seriously.
Yep. Did laugh when I saw that tweet.
There's a podcast in the West, which is actually not a bad podcast. I think it's called Backchat. Is it called Backchat? Is that the one with Will Schofield?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, right. So he had his say on the Ginbey situation, and he goes, look, I don't think I'm biased, but and then he proceeded to defend Ginbey as playing the ball and all this sort of. Come on, man! You played for the West Coast. You're biased. You were defending a West Coast player. It's okay. It's what we expect of you. Just own what you do. We know what you're doing. We can see what you're doing. When you pretend that you're not doing it, it makes us laugh. Come on.
Nothing was more clearer than the commentary of the West Coast Richmond game. And look, fair play. They can only put together who they've got there, I suppose. But that was a tough watch.
Right. Now, the AFL has come out pretty strong in the last few years, haven't they? With the head being sacrosanct.
They have.
And protecting the player at all times, especially protecting the head.
Yep.
Right?
That's
And there has been a fair bit of discussion around in the last couple of seasons about players being pushed into dangerous situations. This has actually happened. It's not a 1 week thing. We've been talking about this for a while, haven't we?
Including one of our own players doing the pushing.
Yes. Right. So the AFL and Michael Christian, the MRO officer or whatever the hell you call. Come on, man. If you are going to be clear and fair about player welfare and you say that Ginbey's got no case to answer, that in itself is okay given the current structure of the rules. But to then not come out and clarify that it's not a behaviour we want, it's something we're looking at, and it's something we need to address going forward. Come on, you're either for player welfare or you're not. Now, I said last week that one of our own players, Hopper, I think, pushed Will Day in and he broke his collarbone. If you're pushing players in and you're not contesting, whether it's round 1 or whether they say it's round 11 or there's a starting point, something has to be done about this. Like, come on, man, it's supposed to be a fun segment, but this one's really got up my goat because to say you're protecting something and then not even address how you're going to treat it in the future, very disappointing.
Did we also see that Nankervis got named captain today?
Yeah.
Wasn't that?
I didn't.
I thought that was last week.
That was last week.
What happened today?
What's saying? Rich was only put up on their thing 4 hours ago.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Do we have a news segment called the Sandra Sully Lane News?
But to your point, EJ, it's a good call about. There's always these type of incidents in pre-season where the AFL get one chance to set a precedent of what the year's going to look like, and they've now, I don't know if you want to say, dropped the ball, and maybe we're coming from a biased perspective, I don't know, but I was more miffed, and I haven't seen the reasons why, but maybe it's published somewhere else, but I haven't really seen the reasons on what ground they cleared it, because I felt like when there's the catchphrase duty of care towards a player in vulnerable positions is the big catch cry of the last couple of years. And I actually saw a post on the Big Footy forum in response to the Jacob Hopper one on Will Day. and I can't remember who the poster was, but it was really, really, really well thought out and written, and basically saying that in that type of contest at ground level, that you're probably going to be expecting body contact, and outlined a whole raft of things. But then with the Lawler one, you're probably not expecting to get shoved into oncoming traffic at that speed in general play. But yeah, I would have liked to have heard why they dismissed it out of interest, because there's undoubtedly going to be another case like this throughout the year, for sure.
Yeah, and I mean, personally, I'm not calling for Jinby to be hung, because if the rules as they are at the moment say that he's not going to be punished, I'm fine with that. That's not the point of the come on man. The point is that the AFL, after this, had the chance to lay the ground rules going forward, and they failed to do it.
Yeah. Exactly right. Andrew, there has been multiple people in chat who have said they've heard from various sources that Smiley is a chance to play this week against Collingwood. So I think it's a bit of a watch this space. I'm not sure it's as clear-cut of a no as what some may think, although it kind of, in some ways, flies in the face a little bit of what the medical report said, as did the training video that was posted the day after. But yeah, we've heard from a few people he could be playing along with trainer, so we'll have to wait and see, I guess. But yeah, I don't kind of buy that, Corey. Pushing does happen 20 times a game from every team, but not like that. It's one thing to push someone in the side or to hold someone under the ball, but to fully shove someone hand straight in their back into a marking contest with people coming the other way, I don't reckon that happens 20 times a game, because we'd have the same injuries happening all the time. I think there's different varieties of pushes in that example.
Yep, and can I just add, I think you've got to treat it like the bump. There's no drama with pushing someone, but if the outcome is that they get hurt, that's your responsibility, much like if you choose to bump and it goes wrong, it's your responsibility. Yeah,
it just comes back to the duty of care. And I agree, EJ, they could often be actually spoken about in the same kind of way. It's actually a good point. Yeah. I know you mentioned Jagger Smith earlier. I know we are a Richmond show, but I do want to send a shout out to Jagger Smith and wish him all the best in recovery. No matter who you follow and the rivalries we all have, it is absolutely shit house to see that happen to a player from any club. And the young guy from Melbourne as well, who went down with a knee injury too. I mean, that Carlton game, I actually intentionally switched over to see how Jagger was going. And that was the first thing I saw happen. Like, oh, Jesus. So yeah, hopefully Jagger has a strong recovery and is back on his feet as soon as possible. No one likes seeing ACL injuries no matter what club you play for. So hopefully,
that was your fault as well.
Well, I didn't say anything out loud. I just flicked it over to watch him, and then that happened. I'm like, oh God. Before we wrap up though, make sure I get my camera shot in right.
Oh wow.
How do they look? I don't know if the light's bouncing off it not too well. Yeah, a little 20 centimeter.
Slow spin. Oh, look at that.
Look at that. 20 centimeter PVC mini football, Big Footy Tiger Cast branded. They will be hopefully getting here March, April. I think I'll have to double check if there's 20 or 25 available. We'll post details of that once we know. Stubby holder pre-order sales are still open, so if you still want to order a stubby holder, feel free to send us a message. Otherwise, we'll chuck them up somewhere online once the stock lands as well. They should be getting here April 2, which will be exciting. Yeah, well, yeah, that was just the best deal. But that is a wrap for tonight. Now, I know Jones Racing, you have mentioned a couple of times, live call Wednesday night. I might be able to do something in that space. I was going to be going, but we've had some car issues and I'm probably not able to go to that game now. So the other gents may be busy, may not be able to join, which is totally okay. But if I'm free and available, I'll fire it up and we can do a live watch along. I'll have a look at how the Tigers go. So keep an eye out for that. I'll post more information as I know more.
I'd love to.
I'm up at the winery and I'm actually going to be doing vintage at the time, so I'm out.
Oh,
and I'll be watching Chris Stapleton live.
There we go. So like I said, I'm happy to still jump on and do one nonetheless if there's interest. So we'll see how we go there. But EJCB, thank you for jumping on tonight, gents. Much appreciated. And thank you to everybody in chat for joining in as well. Make sure you like and subscribe on whatever channel you're on X or Facebook. YouTube, we've actually hit 2,000 subscribers. Massive, massive effort. Super stoked that everyone's getting right behind us there. So make sure you keep showing love on the YouTube channel. And, we'll keep putting out more content. But we'll be back on hopefully Wednesday for a live one. Tiggs is doing all right. I messaged him. He couldn't make it tonight, but he said he'll be right to go for next Monday if we do a show. So keep an eye out for that. And hopefully Grok will be around in the coming weeks as well. So shout out to both of those gentlemen at home. But thank you, gents. Have a wonderful night. Thank you to everybody for listening. And until next time, go Tigers.
Go Tigers.
Go Tigers.